happens is now with the influx of people coming into the tech field, because now, people have made tech very, very popular. And so many people are coming into the tech field. So now imagine recruiters or hiring managers getting thousands upon thousands of applications. It is super, super expensive for companies to hire people. And that is one of the reasons. And sometimes there becomes this analysis paralysis on the side of the company because they might be like one little flaw in a person. They say, oh no, we can't do it. And now they never get what they want. How can I add value to the company? How can I help the company win so that in turn they can help me win? Everything that I learned, like everything that I've learned throughout my career, it's been building upon each other. I'm still using it. And now it allows me to be able to expand, increase my mindset, be able to help others. Welcome to another episode of Candid Conversations, hosted by yours truly, Tech Coach Ralph, where we are engineered to win. In today's episode, we are going to be talking about the cost of hiring and why companies, they're reluctant to just give anybody a chance, right? So it's interesting. The other day, I'm at work and I'm looking at my HR type information on file with the company, and I found my way towards like the pay and compensation thing, and when I looked at that, it showed that my true compensation was maybe about $30,000 to $35,000 more than my actual salary. And I was like, what is that? And one thing I like about my company is they actually break down everything that of like where it's like they call it pay transparency. I'm not sure if other companies do that, but um, it actually breaks down. Okay, how much of it is going towards your 401k? How much of it is going towards your medical? How much of it is going here, there, all that type of stuff, right? How much of it goes towards your base salary? How much of it goes towards your bonus? How much of it goes towards RSUs? All of that good stuff. And I was like, interesting. I'm like, well, you know what? A lot of people, they never actually consider that as part of their pay. They'll say, okay, so I make they'll think of like, oh, I make $250,000 a year, and that's what it is, or I make $50,000 a year, and that's what it is. But there's so much more that goes into your actual pay, and it's expensive. It's a lot of money. So and now if you multiply that, and it's going to be different for each person based off their salary range and based off their position. Different bonuses for different levels. Like so you might have regular level employees have this particular bonus structure. Maybe the managers have this kind of bonus structure. The like VPs and stuff like that, or directors have another type of bonus structure, and so forth. But everyone's gonna have some type of pay structure, and then what happens is, well, now all the other benefits that come along with it, right? We don't really consider those. And I think that is very, very important to understand and to consider inside of the actual pay. A lot of times, like we're so focused on our base pay and things like that. And, oh, I wouldn't do this, I wouldn't do that. Oh, just give me the money up front. Where a lot of times the reason that the money is not necessarily given up front is because of the company has to keep their costs at a particular level in order for innovation and for investment and things like that. Now, the true cost of hiring then, why are companies reluctant to just hire anybody? Well, I know it's going to be tough for a few people for not a few, but for a lot of people to understand, because been seeing so many videos about, oh, companies aren't hiring and they're doing this and they're doing that. And honestly, I don't think, I don't really know if the companies actually see this stuff, because at the end of the day, a company is an entity. The people at the company who are making the decisions on who they're going to hire, who they're not going to hire, what they can afford, what they can't afford. Is it like, we like people, they try to target them, say, hey, recruiters this or hiring managers that. And honestly, at the end of the day, everyone has a job to do. And it's not like it's going to be, oh, I have to focus on every single people, like how people feel and stuff like that. Um, because what happens is we get emotional, and we start getting into our feelings because we're not looking at it from the other side. I am always looking at it from all sides, all perspectives, to see, okay, how does the individual feel who's trying to land a position, but what is happening on the other side, on the company side? How, like, think about this. People will say, I've seen this many times. Oh, you know, recruiters are ghosting people, hiring managers are ghosting people. We'll get to like second round of interviews and stuff like that we never hear back. And I think that I do think that it's messed up that that happens. But at the end of the day, what difference does it make? I spoke about this in a video a while ago. I had this interview for a huge company, and I even knew somebody in the company, right? They helped facilitate the interview to go by fast, and you know spent like it was a last minute interview, talked to a bunch of people, and then I didn't hear anything back from them for a long time. Ended up accepting another offer, and like, I wasn't even thinking about them. And then like almost 6 months later, I get an email from them saying, "Oh, you know, we decided not to move forward." I'm like, "All right, cool. Who cares?" I really didn't care because I kept it moving. I'm not going to be staying around waiting for, "Oh, please, respond to me, please." I don't. I have better things to do than holding out, like having hope in some particular company. I'm gonna go where I'm sure, like where they value what I can bring, where I'm appreciated, right? So that being said, when it comes down to all this, like you can say whatever it is. Let's say I got a response. Oh, we're not moving forward and everything like that. Okay, well, they're still not moving forward. Let's say I got it within a week. Okay, you're still not moving forward. Cool, whatever. Like, I guess I feel better that you let me know, but I'm gonna do what I have to do regardless. Now, here's the deal. Here's the deal. What happens is now with the influx of people coming into the tech field, because now you know people have made tech very popular, and so many people are coming into the tech field. So now imagine recruiters or hiring managers getting thousands upon thousands of applications and having to sift through those. And this is the part where I'm talking about. I look at both sides or all the sides. And now they're having to sift through all of these resumes. And I would say and from what I heard from someone who works um like with recruiters and stuff like that, is 90% of these applicants aren't even like the people who apply, they don't have the skills or the qualifications for the role. So they have to sift through all of that. And you know, they might have these softwares that are helping sift through that, but they still have to sift through this. And now let's say now out of 1,000 people applying, because let's say the position is remote, you can hit so many more applicants. Now you have these applicants, you have to sift through it, and now you get to the point of, okay, cool. Out of let's say 1,000 people apply. Now let's say you narrow it down to like 100 people, and now you have to go through that, and the recruiters, the hiring managers are managing this relationship between all of them, right? I think it would be great for the recruiters to let them know, but if they don't, I don't believe that you should be hoping and banking on somebody who's like, because at the end of the day, I guess you have some closure, but you still don't have it. You still have to go find another job, and you still feel some type of way because you had to go through, like, let's say you went through 2 rounds of interviews or a technical interview process where you have to do some type of project. Who knows, right? And some people even say, I'm not writing no code for no company. Cool. Well, that's perfectly fine. Keep it moving then. Keep it moving. Um, but if you're in a position of wanting something, you're gonna have to make accommodations for the people who are in the position to give you what you want. See, and I remember I had a comment on one time. I'm like, you know, there's an entitled mindset happening in hiring. It's like, oh no, it's not. It's not entitled. It's the other side's fault. Well, whoever's fault it is, are you getting the results that you want? So let's break down. And this because I've seen this for such a long time now. Let's break down the cost of hiring. So the first thing that it costs, and I shouldn't even say first because I lose track of the numbers that I'm using. But let's say the cost of hiring. One of the parts. It is super expensive for companies to hire people. And that is one of the reasons. And you know, sometimes there becomes this analysis paralysis on the side of the company because they might be like one little flaw in a person and say, "Oh no, we can't do it," and now they never get what they want. Fine. I mean, but guess what? That's on them. That is on them. If they can afford it, then that's on them. And I always say you have to continue enhancing your skills in order to go where you want to go, regardless of a particular company. Make yourself so valuable that the companies want you. You're not the one chasing the company, they're chasing you. Be able to get multiple offers. Have them compete with one another. Be that star athlete. See me, I look at work as athletics. I might not be the most gifted athlete, but I'm going to be one of the most gifted workers, one of the most gifted QA engineers, one of the most gifted software engineers that I can work for. I can work for any company. I can work for myself. I can do both. I want to be very, very dynamic. So the cost of hiring, it is super expensive because now when you're hiring, you have so many people who they're still getting paid for the whole interview process, for interviewing multiple people for maybe one or two positions. So we might be interviewing like 10 people for one or two open spots. And these interviews have different stages. So a typical workflow for interview. You're going to have a recruiter who's going to be reaching out to you. And sometimes what happens is the hiring manager will find somebody and then they send that to the recruiter. So that the hiring managers all because if the hiring manager really needs somebody, they're going to be looking. You're going to be looking for people. And, say, oh, and they find somebody. Okay, send that over to the hiring manager or to the recruiter. Hey, recruiter, can you reach out to this person and see to see like if there would be a good fit? There can be people who are like scouting on different places. Like they might be looking on Indeed, they might be looking on LinkedIn, they might be looking on wherever, right? And they'll say, okay, we find somebody. They reach out to them. Hey, you might be a good candidate for this role, and then they send it over to the recruiter who's going to be managing the relationship. Now the recruiter is going through the process and now they're scheduling interviews. So now they need to find. All right. So let's say a typical interview, right? So you talk to the recruiter, then you're going to talk to the hiring manager, and let's say you talk to the hiring manager for about 30 minutes to an hour, and now that goes well. And they say, okay, we're going to give you a technical project to do. So you do that technical project, and now you have to do the technical project review. So in between that review, there are people who are actually reviewing your technical project. So they're taking time out of their day where they have to contribute to whatever they're working on to review this project. And then and then if that goes well, now you're going to have to actually have a conversation because you need to show that you actually like you actually did the work, and two, explain like your thought process through it and talking about okay, now you know, just a regular technical interview. Like and sometimes for software engineering positions you might have to like do some live coding, some whiteboarding and stuff like that to explain your thought process just because they have to make sure. And I'm going to explain why companies have to make sure, why they don't just give anybody a chance. I'll explain that a little bit later on. So we go through that. So that's not now. There's time spent finding the person. By it might be that recruiter, it might be the hiring manager, it might be another person in like the recruiting department who's like trying to find different people to go through the process. There's that, and then there's the reviewing of the technical project, and then there's the actual interview or whatever position there is. Like there's going to be some type of technical interview for that to make sure you actually know what you're doing, what you say you know what you're talking about, going through your resume and stuff like that. And let's say if that goes well, now you might be going through some type of panel interview with the people you'd be working with. So now gathering like four people together to have this conversation. Their schedules are all busy trying to find some alignment. And now let's and these people like they're not going to be like lower level employees. They're going to be like senior, like somewhat senior level. And so gathering them all together, taking about an hour out of their day. That's like all of this whole process is a lot of money, a lot of money. And we're just talking about doing it for one person. So let's say let's bring it down like this, right? Say the recruiter averages spending about 2 to 3 hours for your whole interview process. Not in, and that's like including speaking to you, getting like if you get all the way to the end, getting offers ready and stuff like that. So let's say it's 2 to 3 hours, and let's say the hiring manager spends maybe 2 hours in the whole process, and let's say the technical review by two people takes about an hour. So we are at three, five, three, five, three, five. So 3 hours, 2 hours, so that's five, and then another 2 hours is because it's two different people, 1 hour each. That's going to be 7, and then now you do the actual technical interview, which is going to be another hour by 2 people. So that's going to be another so now we're at 9 hours total. And now let's say that goes through. Now you're doing the panel interview with about 3 to 4 people. So let's say 4. And that's an hour for each person. And I'm not even including the time they take to review like your resume and stuff like that, right? Let's just say straight meeting, right? So that's 4 hours. So now we're at 13 hours. And now let's say the last stage you might have to meet with the hiring manager again, or you might have to meet with like a higher level, like a director or something like that. That's another hour, right? So we are at about 15 hours, I think. So let's say now you have to multiply that by 5 people. And not everybody's going to get to that final stage, but let's say 5 people do get to the final stage. They have to make a decision out of the 5, right? So that's 15 hours times 5 people. That's 75 hours. And the people who are in this process, they are more, management level, senior level, so their pay is generally higher. So it just costs a lot more. So spending all this time and money, company money, and so having to manage your own stuff to get it wrong, to make the wrong decision, is going to cost the company significantly. And here's why. Because okay, so we already have the 5 people, 75 hours, however much it costs the company, right? Thousands and thousands of dollars. Now, you go through the whole hiring process with the wrong candidate. What's going to happen is you're going to have to go through that whole entire process all over again. So we might be looking at another 75 hours. And this is just for on like 5 people. That's not including all the people you have to sift through, all the resumes you have to go through at like the recruiter level, at the hiring manager level, all the people who got to the technical project level and got their project reviewed, but and maybe they even got to do the technical interview, but didn't go forward. So we're just exponentially increasing the time at this point. So now you get it wrong, you have to go the whole process over again. Or like let's say you don't get it wrong in the sense that you hired like the wrong person, but let's say you hire somebody and the salary you offered them, they didn't properly negotiate or whatever, and they wanted more, but they didn't say nothing, and because they could have just like accepted the job because I can't find anything else, so this is gonna be like in their minds this is a transitionary job, but in the mind of the company, we want to have this person for a long time. So now say that they're leaving, like let's say 3 months later, they say that they're leaving, just as they are getting familiar with the application and the software, they say that they're leaving, and now all that investment that you put into that to get this one person, totally out the door, totally down the drain. Like, and then and this and that might be for like a higher level person that you're hiring, right? So now let's say a more entry level type person. Let's say that they have the skills, but let's say they don't have the understanding or the work ethic and stuff like that. And so now they're not working out. It's like, hey, it's been 3 months, you're not performing as we thought, and they don't get any better. So now you have to let them go. So you spent all that money to get that person in. So and not now you also have like the benefits that the person is getting from the company, including like potentially 401k, medical, uh, like holiday pay, all that type of stuff, right? PTO, and they don't know. Let's say they don't know what they're doing, and they're not getting it, and it's costing the company more and more money. Now, what is the obligation of the company? Is the obligation of the company to that one employee, to all the employees, to the stakeholders, to the customers? What's the number one priority? So, in my book, which you may disagree, but the number one priority of any company is to be profitable. If a company is not profitable, nothing else matters. Now, you might disagree, like, oh no, that's not true because the employees, like their health and stuff like that. If the company is not profitable, nothing else matters. Because the company being profitable is what allows us to be able to work for that company, to be able to provide the benefits, all of that stuff. So when I'm working, my goal, my thought is, all right, how can I add value to the company? How can I help the company win? So that in turn, they can help me win. everything that I learned, like everything that I've learned throughout my career, it's been building upon each other. I'm still using it. And now it allows me to be able to expand, increase my mindset, be able to help others. But I never approached it with, oh, I'm owed something. It's a mutual relationship. And when I get to the point of like, you know what, the value that I'm bringing to this company is a lot more than the value that they're bringing to me. And then I'm like, okay, now let me start to explore my options. But I've never been the one to like, oh, the company owes me something and I'm demanding something. I'll tell you this: there's been like I've been to a few companies where they'll offer courses and stuff like that, where you can do this, you can do that, and sometimes like because I know like if I do it through the company, I'll have the education, but the like if I want access to this course later on, it'll still belong to the company. So sometimes I'll buy my own courses with my own money under my own account so that I can still have access to it later. I can reference it and stuff like that. It just depends. But I want to put in the extra work so I can be more valuable. I can continue to add value. And when we're thinking about like, oh, just give us a chance, give us a chance, give us a chance, giving chances are very, very expensive. So now if we reverse it a little bit, if we I want you to put yourself in the position of a company, of maybe a CEO, a hiring manager, things like that. Do you like would you hire just anyone who needed a chance, who's trying to transition? And are you going to be that company, that person that says, "Oh, we need like we need this, but because this person just transitioned and they maybe took a boot camp or they just finished graduating college, we're going to give them a chance." Me in the position of a company, because like, even when I'm coaching, right, I'm starting to be even way more selective of who I will coach, because when I'm speaking to you and you're like all ambitious and stuff like that. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And then I'm like, all right, now time to do the work. And you're like, oh, ooh, no, I don't think I can do that. Really not for me. I'm like, all right, cool. Now I have to be a little bit more selective. And you're paying me for the coaching, and I have to be selective because I'm like, hmm, maybe this isn't for you. And that's the thing. It's like, and now this company is doing an investment in you. Companies won't ask this, but I wonder, like when people come to me and they're speaking about, oh, I want to do this. I'm taking this boot camp here. I took this course here. I'm like, okay, but outside of paying for like a bunch of money for this one thing, how are you investing in yourself? What are you working on? What are you building? Are you leading with your circumstances or are you leading with your accomplishments? And that's part of the strategy I talk about on the resumes. Don't talk about like, oh, my ambitions. Talk about your accomplishments. What have you accomplished? Even if it's not necessarily in the tech field. Share with me what you have accomplished and how you're going to bring that drive and that motivation to me, to the company, etc. And when you do that, then you're going to be seen in a different light. But when we're just talking, oh, my circumstances, this, my circumstances are that, I am going to be brutally, brutally honest with you. Nobody has to care or should care or cares about what your personal circumstances are if they do not know you personally. Now, some people are very, very compassionate and they'll donate and stuff like that to whatever a cause might be. But when it comes to business, when it comes to business, nobody has to care about any one particular person's circumstances or situations. It's business is not charity. And you know, that's just me. Maybe that's just how I see it. But there is a place for charity and for helping and for and giving like chances and opportunities. And then there's business where it's about, profit, income, stakeholders, employees, benefits. Because there can be a company that offers absolutely no benefits because they can't afford it. Like a brand new company, a startup, for instance. They might not be able to afford benefits and stuff like that. If they're just trying to get off the ground, are you saying, oh, because they don't offer PTO and stuff like that, I'm not gonna work for them? but you need the experience. Maybe that is your opportunity. But I see it as a lot of times these influencers and stuff like that, they like the and when I say like all types of influencers, they'll sell you this false hope, this false narrative of, oh, this is what it should be like, and this is what it was like. This is allegedly what it was like for me. When it's like, I don't know, I don't know. But I want you. So I'm going to wrap it up like this, right? I want you to have in mind hiring is very, very expensive for the companies. If you were to put yourself in the shoes of the company, 90% of the people who come to you, you probably wouldn't hire them because you know that you're not going to be able to afford it. I've had to remind some people before in the past that I work with, like, hey, the company doesn't have an endless supply of money. We need to we need to treat the work that we do, the drive that we have for our work, the quality of work, as if we are spending our own money. Because guess what? In a way, we are. Because if we do a bad job, if the company's not able to sustain and goes under, then we lost the money that we're making there. Like we're not we won't be there anymore. We're gonna have to go out there into the job market and find another place. So when I have this drive of the way that I work, it's not necessarily for the company. It's for myself to protect me and to continue to grow and to continue to learn. Because let's say because I've been at companies before where they ended up not working out and they went under and stuff like that. And but what I was able to glean from it, and I know that the effort that I put in for us to be successful, sometimes maybe the company just has a bad product. I don't know, but and there's only so much you can do at that point. But what I'm able to put into it for what I get out of it, I'm able to take that to new heights in other places. So that's what I'm saying to you. Like, stop thinking about, oh, the companies are working like this, the companies are working like that. When especially if you've never owned a company, if you've never had to hire anybody, if you've never been in those positions, you don't know, you don't understand. So stop thinking like, oh, it should be like this. You don't know because you don't know the cost associated with it. And that's why I'm just trying to give some insight on. It is very, very expensive. It is very, very time consuming. It is very stressful. I know it's stressful for you going through the interview process. We're hoping people will reach out to you and give you a chance and stuff like that. But it's also stressful because guess what? Every single person that I interview, I meet them, I speak to them, I see them, and when I have to like say, and then the part I have to say yes or no to that person, it's tough because I know I don't know this person's personal situation, but it's tough saying like rejecting somebody. But it has to be I have to think about, okay, what are the business needs? Does the person meet the qualifications? Do I believe, which I meet you for like an hour, but but I'm like, do I believe this person is going to be able to do the job? They might be, but there might be like there might be this other person who's more qualified. And it's not just only me who's making the decision. I play a small role. Everyone's voice matters, and if you have like it can be one person who makes a good observation, like, oh, this might not be it, and then because there's been times that multiple people have approved, and one person makes an offer, like, oh, we didn't think about that, and that person gets rejected, and there's been other times where like somebody will say, yeah, I didn't like it for this reason, but everybody else is like, oh, you know what, but this and that, we can work on that, boom. So it depends. So what I'm going to leave you with is, what are you doing to make yourself noticeable, to make yourself valuable? Put out some work. Put something out in the public domain. Let's my message, stop talking about it, do it, and put it out there and ask for feedback. And once you do that, more people will see it and you'll have a body of work that precedes you. And then we can go from there, right? So, my my honest advice, stop complaining about hiring processes, start putting stuff out there. Start showing your value instead of talking about your value. And when you do that, I've seen it with the people that I'm coaching. slight adjustments to the resume, actually putting in the work, learning the thing that they're going to be doing on the job, things change very, very rapidly. Things change very, very rapidly. You have to be flexible. You have to be fluid. You have to be adaptable. And the biggest thing is you have to have the right attitude. As soon as I get around somebody, I can have a sense of their personality, their aura, and if they're a complaining person, they're a negative person, I'm like, I'm not with that. I'm not gonna be around them. But if they're a positive, let's do it, let's do it, let's do it, let's go out there and get it. Then I'm like, let's join together. Let's make it happen. All right. So I'm gonna leave you with that. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for watching. I really, really appreciate it. If you haven't done so already, do me a big, big favor. Go ahead and like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you can know every single time we go live to do some amazing work or drop new fire content. All right. And if you are in need of any exclusive strategic information or one-on-one coaching, go over to www.techcoachralph.dev where you can join my team, my tech explorers, my tech prodigy, my tech barbarians, and we can go out there, we can level up together, and I can help you get to the other side. But on that note, I'm going to get out of here. Thank you so much for tuning in. You guys have an amazing, amazing rest of your week. Hopefully that gave you some confidence and some motivation, some drive to go out there and get it. All right. So with that being said, this is Tech Coach Ralph, and I am out.
If you enjoyed the fascinating information shared in this video and you want more, be sure to hit the subscribe button to Tech Coach Ralph to be notified for new videos.